Ms. Davis, let me have you, raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this honorable court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and so say I do. Okay, Ms. Davis, I need for you to speak slowly and loudly so the court reporter can take down all the testimony and the jury, of course, can hear you as well as the judge. Ms. Davis, you are the defendant in this action, are you not?
I am.
And do you understand that you're under indictment of these 7 charges that have been presented here to this jury during this week? Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you understand, Ms. Davis, that you are under no obligation to testify?
Correct.
That if you should decide to not testify, then this jury cannot infer or think anything harmful towards you because of your silence. You understand that?
Yeah.
Do you also understand that if you should decide not to testify, that the district attorney's office could not argue to the jury that you're holding something back? And that if you do give testimony, then you'll be subject to cross-examination by the district attorney's office. Knowing that, do you wish to testify here today?
I do.
All right.
You gotta speak up for me, okay, Ms. Davis?
Ms. Davis, just make sure that we have your complete full name. Tell us that, please.
Kiana Davis.
What is your middle name?
Aisha Renee.
And tell me the date that you were born.
December 12th, 1990.
And where were you born at?
In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Ms. Davis, are you a high school graduate?
I am.
Where did you graduate from and when?
Warner Robins High School in 2009.
Have you lived in Warner Robins most of your life?
Warner Robins in South Carolina is
Are you married? Have you ever been married?
No.
Did you give birth to any children?
I did.
And who was that child?
Carter.
What day was Carter born?
January 14th, 2018.
And where was he born at?
In Macon, Georgia.
And when did Carter pass away?
He passed away November 17th of 2020.
Who's the father of Carter?
Kadeem Ambrose.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Davis. Were you and Mr. Ambrose, Kadeem Ambrose, were you living with each other at the time that Carter was conceived?
At the time that he was conceived, no, but when I found out I was pregnant, yes.
Okay. And where were you living at that time?
At the time that he was conceived.
Right.
I believe I was back at my grandfather's house.
And who's your grandfather?
James Kennedy.
And Mr. Kennedy testified yesterday, is that right?
He did.
And what is his address? Is that where you're living at now?
It is currently.
So at some point in time, you were with child. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Kadeem Ambrose was the father of that child. Is that right?
That's correct.
At some point in time, did you and he move in together?
We did.
When would that have been? Approximately.
Approximately, maybe immediately after I found out I was pregnant, or maybe like a month or two afterwards.
And where did you move in with Mr. Ambrose?
We moved to Sandpiper Apartments.
And that's in Warner Robins, is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that off Russell Parkway?
That is correct.
So at this apartment, until the baby was born, it was just you and he?
Correct.
Where was he working at?
He was a firefighter for the firefighter.
And he testified, did he not, yesterday? And at that time, where were you employed at?
I believe I was working at FedEx at the time, but then I switched jobs to a dermatology office
Where was this dermatology office at?
in Maine.
And this was while you were pregnant with Carter, is that correct?
Correct.
Were you in college at the time?
I believe I was taking some extra classes. I had already gotten one degree, but I was getting certified for a specific programming language.
Okay, where did you get your bachelor's degree from?
Mercer University.
Out of Macon?
Yes.
And what was that degree in?
Software application development and human-computer interaction.
And you say that you were taking some extra classes at that time, is that right?
I was taking, this was before going to Mercer, but I was taking extra. I had already had a degree in web design and web development, so I was just continuing my education by taking more classes to get certified in a specific programming language.
Okay, what specific program were you going into?
Java programming.
Pardon?
Java is a programming language, so I was getting certified for that specific language.
Okay. Were these classes that were going towards a master's degree?
After getting software application development, yes, I did get a master's degree after that.
All right. So at some point in time, after you got your degree from Mercer, did you begin teaching?
I was teaching before already. I was working for Central Georgia Technical College as an industrial aide, so essentially I was teaching.
Okay. Tell us, you were working for where?
Central Georgia Technical College. I was working as an industrial aide, so essentially my job was to run all of the technology in the classrooms that were being ran by the college for dual enrollment during high school.
And Central, this is off Cohen Walker, is that right?
Correct.
And when did you start working for them?
I believe around June of 2019.
Okay, and this was after the baby was born, is that correct?
Correct.
Were you and Kadeem Ambrose still living together at that time?
Yes, we were.
And tell the jury, if you would, if you worked for the college there, where that job took you to.
My main location and my office was in Jones County in Milledgeville, Georgia, where I spent most of my time until COVID happened. And then due to low staffing, I had to then take over other offices in the Warren Robins area.
Oh, okay. You take other offices at other schools, is that correct?
Correct.
Which other schools would you work in?
The Houston County Career Academy here in Warren Robins.
And that's off Russell Parkway?
That is correct.
Okay. And where else?
The Central Georgia Technical College at Cohen Walker.
Okay. And were you still working at the school at Jones County?
Yes, I was doing all of them.
Okay. How often would you go to these different locations? Would you report every morning to the college and then drive to either the Jones County High School, or how would you do that?
It would depend on which classes I was monitoring that day. So you typically get a schedule for the semester at the beginning of the semester, and it depends on whether or not the teacher was canceling class or not. They would let me know, and I would either go to the location or I would stay in my office in Jones County.
Would you do this 5 days a week?
5 days a week, yes, sir.
Okay. And in doing this, Carter, did you continue to teach? When did you leave teaching here for the college?
I signed my contract with Gwinnett County Public Schools in October of 2021. So I was scheduled to leave here and start working there in January of 2021. I'm sorry.
Make sure we have the dates right.
I'm sorry. I signed my contract October of 2020 with Gwinnett County, and I was supposed to start working with Gwinnett County in January of 2021.
And Carter passed away in November.
Yes, he ended up passing away in between.
Now, so I take it, well, because we're doing these things in a sequence, you, after Carter passed away, did you subsequently move to Gwinnett County?
I moved to Gwinnett County when I started my job, so I would say maybe a week before the semester began, so around January 6th of 2021.
And what school did you work at?
At the time, I was scheduled at Peachtree Ridge High School.
And how long did you stay there?
I stayed for 1.5 years because I was promoted after that.
And did you stay at that school, or did you go to another school?
I went to open a school. That was part of my promotion to help open the computer science department at Second High School.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yep.
Ms. Davis, tell us again as to which high school you went to work for after Peachtree Ridge.
Second High School.
Okay, spell that.
SECKINGER.
And that was a high school, a public high school
Yes, it had just opened the year that I started.
in Gwinnett County.
Yes.
And you stayed there until that you were arrested on this charge.
That's correct.
And that was when?
That was in October of 2023.
And since you were arrested, you were prevented from continuing to teach. Is that correct? At that school.
Because I cannot physically be there, yes. So that was my only condition.
And you're currently living with your grandfather under house arrest. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's in Little Robbins.
That is correct.
Objection, Your Honor. This isn't relevant.
The objection sustained, the jury will disregard any reference to the conditions of her pretrial release. Moving on.
All right. Now, Ms. Davis, let me ask you this. Carter, his date of birth again was when?
January 14, 2018.
And at the time that Carter was born, did he develop any problems as far as being sickly?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Once again, you were living in Sandpiper Apartments with Mr. Ambrose?
I was.
Was Carter hospitalized soon after he was born?
I'm not sure how soon it was, but he was hospitalized for sure right before his first birthday.
And for what type of problems?
He was having breathing issues, and he was admitted into the NICU for a few days.
The NICU where?
In Macon.
At the time that this happened, were you and Mr. Ambrose still living with each other?
Yes, we were.
At some point in time, who was your doctor for Carter?
Dr. Waters
And where was Dr. Waters at?
at Primary Pediatrics.
And that's the primary pediatrics that we've been talking about all week, is that correct?
That's correct.
At some point in time, did you and Mr. Ambrose move from where you were living at Sandpiper Apartments?
We did.
Where did you move to?
We moved to 6080 Lakeview Road, which was the doctor's office. It was right next to the doctor's office.
Okay, how far away?
There's 6082
fair statement to say that you spent a lot of time at pediatrics, at the pediatric place?
A lot of time, yes, I would say, yes.
And you were aware, or did not, of all the medical reports that were provided by their business, is that correct?
That is correct.
And as far as you know, this is a true and accurate representation of the times that you took Carter to that place for treatment, is that right?
That is correct.
What type of treatments?
You mean what type of things that he go
Right.
for? He's been for allergic reactions. He's mainly been for breathing issues and his minor checkups, regular checkups, and any COVID testing and anything that needs to be done.
At some point in time, did the relationship between yourself and Mr. Ambrose, did it dissolve or end?
It did.
When would that have been?
I really can't tell you when it started to dissolve, but I know for sure when he moved out in March of 2020.
Okay. He moved out in March of 2020, is that right?
Correct.
And you were still teaching at the college, is that right?
That is correct.
During this period of time, you say it was March of 2020 when Mr. Ambrose moved out.
That is correct.
Did you maintain contact with him from the time that he left until Carter passed away?
Contact as in regarding the child, yes.
Was he paying child support?
He was, we had an agreement before I actually initiated the court-ordered child support.
All right. Now, during this particular period of time from after Mr. Ambrose left, where was Carter being? Was he getting daycare, or how were you doing about keeping him when you worked?
Yes, so I would take him to daycare before work, and then I would pick him up in the afternoon unless his father was off from work or was able to, because his schedule didn't allow him to take him to work because he didn't get off in the time frame.
All right. And where was this daycare at?
Off of Russell Parkway near one of the middle school.
Would that have been with Ms. Stark that testified this week? And how often would Ms. Stark keep Carter?
She would keep him pretty much every day unless I had a day off or his father had a day off.
And did that involvement between yourself and Mr. Ambrose, was that fairly successful as far as looking after Carter?
Sure, yes.
Okay. No, there weren't any problems with that?
No, because we did everything around his schedule.
And the schedule that Mr. Ambrose worked with the fire department was, as he testified yesterday, 24 on, 48 off. Okay. And you recognize that he had a part-time job.
That's correct.
Now, let me move on to November of 2020. Up until then, was Carter a happy child?
Yes, very happy.
And for the most part, was he fairly healthy?
For the most part, other than his medical issues.
And if there was a problem with Carter, you would take him over to the pediatric place, is that correct? Are you fairly regular over there?
Yes, I'm a regular.
Ms. Davis, I'm not, and Mr. Mr. Dwayne may ask, but I'm not going to get into. We've all heard what happened on the 17th of November. At that particular point in time, the day that Carter passed, where were you at physically?
The day that he passed, I was at work
Where at?
in Milledgeville, Virginia.
And that was for one of the high schools up there, is that
For
right?
Johnson County High School.
And Mr. Benton was watching Carter, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you, when you found out that Carter was in distress, where did you go to? Where did you rush to?
I was on the phone with Mr. Benton, and he informed me that they were transporting him to the emergency room, so I met them at pediatric County Emergency.
Now, the information that you provided to the sergeant in this matter, and also to Lieutenant Meadows, and we heard the video. To your recollection, the way of thinking, is all that true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
As far as the timetable is concerned, did you lay that out for Sergeant Collins and also for Lieutenant Meadows?
I did.
On the Monday night before Carter passed on Tuesday, did you contact his father, Mr. Ambrose, as to whether or not he could watch the child?
I did.
And why was that?
Because I felt more comfortable with him being home with either me or Mr. Ambrose. However, I could not take off work that day, the next day. So I asked Mr. Ambrose if he could possibly take off work to watch him.
And he would not, is that correct?
That is correct.
Were y'all going through a little bit of a spat as far as the child support order is concerned at that time?
I was not. I think that I don't think he agreed with my going to do it through the court system. So I don't think we weren't really on good terms because of that.
But anyway, you went to work on that Tuesday.
Correct.
Ms. Davis, let me ask you this. As far as did you ever do anything to harm your child?
No.
I mean, this jury has to decide these charges against you. Was this child ever harmed or hurt or injured by you or in your presence? Now, Mr. Benton, from time to time, had been at your place and looked after Carter. Is that correct?
That is correct.
VO. And that's where today's testimony comes to an end. But the trial is far from over. The defense has now given the jury a detailed look into Kiana Davis's life, her relationship with Carter, and her version of the events leading up to that tragic day. But one witness alone doesn't decide a case. The prosecution's cross-examination and the remaining evidence will ultimately determine whether this testimony strengthens her defense or raises even more questions. So, what do you think? Did her testimony sound credible, or did you notice any inconsistencies?
Your sworn testimony. Has Mr. Benton ever done anything in your presence or to your knowledge where he would harm this child?
No.
Did you ever take any action to where as though you felt like you were being negligent in taking care of the needs of Carter?
No.
Do you recall the child at any point in time falling or hurting himself or being in an accident of some sort there at the residence?
No, I do not.
The Saturday before, you were at your granddaddy's house, is that right?
That's correct.
Did you keep a close eye on Carter the whole time?
Yes, because he's always up under me.
Ms. Davis, this happened almost 6 years ago, and do you still remember what happened during those days before?
Vaguely.
As you have explained once again what happened then to Sergeant Collins and Lieutenant Meadows, do you stand by what you said?
Absolutely.
And also Marcus Jackson from DFAX was there, is that correct?
That is correct.
During the period of time after Carter passed away, did you try to stay in touch with the sheriff's department or law enforcement of some sort as to what was going on with the investigation?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, what would you do?
I was consistently calling them for the 3 years.
And who would you talk to, do you know?
They would never come to the phone. I was always referred to the assistant to leave my number, and that they would get back to me, and they would never get back to me, which is why I continued to call.
Would that just be law enforcement, or did you also try to contact the district attorney's office?
But I would contact our police department, the sheriff's department, and the district attorney's office.
And you heard the testimony of Sergeant Collins, and you met with him, did you not? And right after Carter passed away, and then a few weeks later, is that
That's
right?
correct.
Did you ever talk to him anymore?
We did have one phone conversation, and that's all.
And when was the next time you heard from anybody from the sheriff's department?
I did not hear from anyone from the sheriff's department anymore after my last meeting with Sergeant Collins.
Okay. And at some point, have you heard from Lieutenant Meadows? Is that right?
A year later, yes.
And you drove down to meet with him, is that right?
That is correct.
And are you standing by the conversation or the information provided to him at that meeting on December 2021.
Correct.
Did you still continue to try to get in touch with with law enforcement about this?
Yes, for 2 more years.
Did they ever call for you to come down here and meet with them anymore?
No, they did not.
And the whole time you were teaching in Gwinnett County, is that right?
That is correct.
In addition to law enforcement, did you also talk to the coroner's office?
I never spoke with the coroner's office, no.
Ms. Davis, you're under oath. Once again, did you ever do anything to harm your child?